With a background that includes transformation operations to foster a strong company culture and a focus on building resilient marine infrastructure like docks and seawalls, he brings extensive expertise in sustainable construction practices. Welcome, sir. I managed to get it all in that long breath.
That was good. That was good.
You've been busy, so I mean, can you tell me a little bit about kind of how your service in the Navy shaped that path you took in the civilian career?
Well, it's funny because what I really wanted to do when I joined the Navy was just stay in for 6 years, get out and start my own catering company and be a pastry chef. So I'm well within the guidelines of how the normal Navy career goes.
Same as mine. 6 years and
But
out.
no, the thing about this is like um, working through the Navy over the years. I started out, I was a nuke mechanic, and all I wanted to do was be on a submarine, and I had no idea what I was learning along the way. You know, what we take for granted being in the military is something that you don't see out here in the civilian world. The knowledge that you learn, the communication skills that we have, just the ability to think on our feet and prep for the next day is something you don't see out in this realm very often. It's surprising. We spend a lot of time planning and executing work while we're in our military careers, and these civilian places just don't seem to run like that most of the time. It's more of my tail's on fire. What am I going to go do to go put it out? And then the next day, it's the same thing over and over again. So it's a different world in the way that we interact with people too. Completely different. It was a huge learning experience for me getting out.
What do you think the biggest challenge on getting out was? Was it that communication, speaking corporatese?
I think more of that, it was the understanding of what I did in the military and how that compared to what worked in the real world. I mean, I was fortunate in my Navy career. My last 9 years, I was in the Naval Reactors Office, working in two shipyards, having direct oversight of these shipyards. Um, and, day to day operations, long term strategic planning, dry docks that are being refurbed, submarines or ships that are going through conversions or new construction. And I go to TAP class, and they're like, I went to the TAP class that was set up for E1 through O3. And they're like, go find a job and write a resume for that job. And so I found a job that I thought was perfect for me. It was working for Disney for one of the cruise lines and doing overhauls of their cruise ships. It's like, I've been doing this for 9 years. So I write my resume up and I give it to the people at TAP, and they're like, you can't do that. You don't have any of those skills. You don't that this isn't the right kind of job. You need to be looking for an entry level job. And so that really deflated what I thought I knew I could go do. And so I took a job with Virgin Orbit, which was an amazing entry into that company, as the preventative maintenance coordinator. So I was going to go write preventative maintenance for how to take care of their test stands. And within a couple of months of being there, I was the director of Mojave operations. So I had three structures that were underneath of me, running a multi-million-dollar companies, testing and structures and launch capabilities. And it was, it was what I was capable of doing in the Navy, but I just didn't realize that I just had all that information and I couldn't ever figure out how to put it into a resume, or to communicate those skills. And that's one of the things that's the most challenging, I think.
Yeah, I mean, those launch pads are no joke too, because I know what it takes to put aircraft test stands together. So the PM on those things is nuts, especially after you torch the snot out of them. Just look at Russia recently.
Yeah. The funniest thing about it was I got there with one other guy, and we both had a similar kind of background. And we get to the test stand and we realize that none of the gauges have been calibrated since they were installed. So we were there and we're like, oh my God, well, we got to go figure out how to go get all of these these pressures, these temperatures, everything calibrated. And when we finally get the stands up to actually being able to be certified as a testing organization should, um, and the performance level dropped of the engines. And the CEO calls me in the middle of the day, and he's like, "I don't know what you're doing up there, but you are destroying the performance of my rocket engines. Can you explain to me?" I was like, uh, but
So
it's
what
just
was the
it's the
problem?
things, huh?
What was the
Yeah,
actual problem?
they never calibrated the gauges.
Oh, so
They
they
were
thought
running
they were
off of
getting
bad
better
data.
performance than they were.
Right, right. Their data was not set to be realistic to what life was.
Wow, that'll get people killed.
Well, yeah, and it would also scrub the mission because the nice thing was we were just launching rockets off the wing of a 747 to go into space and drop off satellites. But when you think you've got a payload capacity of X and it's really Y, um, you know, you get
Yeah.
into a point. Oh, good.
What goes up will eventually come down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was lucky, and it wasn't just me; it was the team we had. In fact, it was nothing to do with me; it was the team that we had. But while I was there, every one of our launches was successful. The one
Nice.
before me was not, and the one after me was not. But while I was there, every one of them was successful. It's because, and it's one of the things I think that we forget being in the military is we know how to build teams, we know how to communicate with each other, we know how to go get the job done. So it's one of the things you got to just remember to continue doing.
So what motivated you to move on from Virgin to the next step, back to the ocean stuff instead of the Mojave?
My wife absolutely hated California. She did not like the
Okay.
Mojave Desert. Something about 115 degrees during the day,
Yeah,
and when the wind blew, it was just as hot. Um, and so she got an opportunity to move back to Florida. We grew up in Florida, her and I, and so she took a job in Florida and said, "Come find me if you want to be married." I said, "Okay." And so we went to Florida, and I started over there as the director of operations for Leslie Controls on how to go build valves. And most of those valves are in the Navy. The company was 4 years to 5 years behind. Uh, you know, their performance level was really crazy. Government jobs, a lot of the delays that you were hearing about in the news about CVN 73 being delayed years was directly tied to the Leslie Controls not being able to put valves together. So that was an interesting place to go take a job at. But again, it was a good place to start learning and putting things together, and using the skills that I had learned in the Navy on how to go critically assess what was going on and have frank conversations. It's one of those things you have to be very careful about, though. And I will tell you, I learned this the hard way. I got caught in the HR a couple of times in Mojave, which it probably should explain is in the Navy. I always worked with people that we could be frank and honest with, right? And so the people that wanted to work hard and play, work hard and had a good motivation. We joked around a lot. We had really great time at work, and the people that didn't work hard, we kind of ostracized, right? And we never spent any time with them. And it was like, if Billy's going to take 16 hours to change the oil in the pump, well, he can go do that by himself. I mean, if we want to get it done in 8 and do that, we should go do that. You can't do that in the civilian side of the world. You've got to treat everybody the same. And it's not just a matter of male, female, white, black. You can't treat anybody differently, and so you've got to be very careful how you manage those relationships. Poor performers cannot be treated different than great performers when you're having conversations with them.
Yeah, that one always bugged me too, because it's like, hey, I'm going to treat you just exactly the same as the person who is the superstar and you are a fertilizer. But yeah, you're right, because I've seen the same thing and it was
Yeah.
driving me nuts. So, I mean, what motivated you to start the company? Was that last job at the valve place to get back out in the ocean, or?
No, I had an opportunity. to go run another marine construction company. And I had really enjoyed the time that I was in the shipyards, working on the dry docks and looking over at the piers that we've rebuilt. And I got this opportunity, and I went and took advantage of it. And I was there for a period of time and realized that even as the CEO, I didn't have the ability to make some of the changes. I had to run it through the board, and the board was used to doing it their way, and I wanted to do it my way. And so it was a put up or shut up. And so I went and bought a company, and now I wish I would have just shut up some days. It's it's eye opening. The things that you think are simple and that should always just be non sequitur. Trying to get people to clean out the truck at the end of the day. Hey, don't leave your lunch in my work truck at the end of the day. Shouldn't be something that is challenging.
In Florida, no less.
But it is very challenging. Oh yeah, in Florida. Good smelling stuff out there. But I mean, marine construction is, to me, it's the most fun out of the construction that's out there. Everybody's building tall buildings, and they're putting, roads in or drainage ditches and stuff like that. We're building docks and bridges, and we're driving pile out, out in the water or out in the land. I mean, I just finished up a job where there's a community out here called Babcock Ranch, and it's a self-contained community, and there's a bunch of builders. And one of the builders is putting in a water park, and part of that water park is a pirate ship bar. And so they hired us to drive all the timber to make the retaining wall, and then they making the pirate ship out of that. Those are fun things to build. I don't want to build the next Hilton hotel. So what we build, people go stand on and listen to the water, and that's why I'm there doing that.
Well, I mean, plus the bonus of, if you fall off a building while you're building it, you're kind of screwed. If you fall off the dock, people just laugh at you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
But yeah, it's challenging. It's got its own challenges. Right now, we're working through a project down in Key West, where we don't have the contract yet. So knock on wood, we wind up with the contract. But we worked enough with the contractor, the prime, on there that we've got the letter of intent. But that's going to have some huge challenges in it. And we're drilling through limestone and setting concrete pile and then putting precast deck sections above that. So it's some big construction, and that's where I'm really trying to get this company aligned to, is the big construction, commercial side, government side of the house. Right now we're 90% residential, which is fun, but I can't take my grandkids over to Bobby's house and go into his backyard and go, hey, look, that's what your pappy built. But when I drive by Epcot, and we're in Epcot going to the fireworks show, and you're looking at that where all the boats tie up in the dock out there in the middle of the lake, I take my grandkids out there and go, yeah, I did that,
cool.
and show them. So it's one of those things, and reason why we own this company is to just kind of create that legacy and be able to show people what we're doing. Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to say. You leave a legacy where you can say, hey, I did that. It could be 150 years it'll sit there if it's maintained. So what is it that you're looking for employees there?
Yeah. So I mean, our biggest thing right now is finding. We've got two different groups. That is where the challenge comes in, right? We have the guys that actually do the construction, and to find people that are willing to work, to do the manual labor, that want to do the manual labor in the summer sun, when it's 100 degrees outside, or to get into the water when it's cold, is a unique challenge and in amongst itself. And there's a quality of work that I hold my team to that not everybody does. We are not the cheapest residential builder around here, but when you look at our fit and finish, there's a reason why. We also don't compromise on the safety of a dock. So we put in the hurricane straps, which aren't required. We oversize our dock lumber, and we through bolt and use stainless steel on everything that we do, which increases the cost. But that's important to do to set that legacy up. So we're always looking for the right teammates to go do that side of the house. But on the other side is the program managers, the people that understand how to, go build the project and be able to quote it out as an estimator, understand the parts and pieces that are required. I mean, to do this Coast Guard job, I've got to rent a barge crane. There's not very many of those available in the world, as weird as that is. You got to be able to do the capacity calculation of what you need. For that, you've got to be able to rent the right equipment. So not everybody has a diesel impact hammer to drive a concrete pile. Got to go rent the auger that you need to go do that. You got so somebody that can kind of think on their feet of like, here is the 65 or 70 different pieces I need to put together to go make this project successful. Looking for one or two of those kind of people to come in and help grow the company. Because for me, the program manager, if we're successful, we're going to have 4 or 5 of those, and they're going to go win projects. And when they win the project, they're also going to make sure the project happens at the same time. And that's where we're kind of growing to. Right now, we did so far this year 2 million in sales, 90% residential. This contract alone that we're looking on or working on is another 4 million to that. Which would be a good first year for us. But in year 5, I have us at 28 million in sales. That's rapid growth. And the only way to go do that is to get the right people that want to be a part of growing, that understand that there's some travel associated with that. With us being in the federal government, we're going to do jobs throughout the state of Florida. We're going to do jobs in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and we're going to do jobs in Puerto Rico on the government side. Commercial side, all of the islands are available to us, and we can do all of Florida.
Oh no, Key West and the Virgin Islands.
Terrible, terrible. I would hate to have to go out there to do a job site visit.
That's hell on earth.
I interviewed a guy the other day that his last 4 years, what he's been doing is building the cruise ship terminals at the different private islands. It was terrible. Sounded like a terrible life.
Yeah, something you said to me when we were talking earlier, just it keyed into me here, is you were telling me about you had to go back to a job because it wasn't done right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? Because I mean, I think for all of us in the military, we'd appreciate that.
Well, so like I said, we do our quality of work as a standard, and if we don't hit our quality, even if the owner is bought off on it, and it's got to be right. It's just because it's built to the specifications, it's got to look right too. This last dock that we just did, unfortunately, it took a third fix to it, and the third fix was what we should have done in the beginning. My daughter works for me as the director of operations. She walked into a job. We were 3/4 of the way done. We had already put all the piling, put all the framing in, had it all bolted, and we were starting to put the wear deck down. And she calls me and she goes, "Dad, I don't like it. I just don't. It's just not right. It's too low. We should have made it higher." According to the contract, we built it on the right level, but we know what the water does around here, and that dock would have been buried on extreme high tides. And that's not what we build. So we ripped it all out and raised it up another foot, and we made a transition to it. Please, dear God, don't let that happen on a commercial job.
Oh God, no.
One or two bad residential jobs where you have to go back 3 or 4 times to take a loss on it. It's just what it is. You can't afford to have a bad reputation.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is on the other side is if people are going to talk about like, hey, we gave him the contract, he got out there, he did the job, he was doing it the way the contract, but then he came back and made it correct. Something that the customer missed. I mean, that's a reputational fireworks right there that sets off. That's going to help you down the road because people are going to talk about that.
The other piece that we do that not everybody else does, and it's not giving away any industry secrets, is from the time you sign a contract with us, every 2 weeks there's a touch point at a minimum, right? And so, like, It's important that the client doesn't lose the happiness of the job, right? They want a dock. And when they want this dock, they want it now. Unfortunately, you have to go through the permitting process. You have to go through three agencies: the Army Corps of Engineers, the Department of Environmental Protection, and the local area. That can be as simple as a 30-day process where all three happen at the same time. I've had a job that I've signed since March that we haven't gotten through the process yet. So the happiness and joy of I see this dock coming down the road is kind of lost. And so you have to make sure that you're reaching out and touching back and making sure that they know that you haven't just forgot about them, you back burner them. Too many people in this industry actually do that, where they take a contract, you sign your retainer, and then they charge you a fee, and then they're gone for 6, 7 months and don't do anything, and it's terrible.
Sounds
So
like most contractors. Clay, go ahead, sir.
yeah,
Chris,
yeah.
you mentioned 2 weeks, and immediately my PMP started going off in my head. So those are your standard stakeholder meetings, or are they just circle back and saying, "Hey, here's what's going on, here's what we're running into, here's our corrected timeline." Is that kind of what you were talking about?
So on the residential side, yeah, the 2 week notice is just to go, hey, we are at this point, we haven't seen any movement. The next ticker date from DEP or Army Corps is this, and the correspondence has been nothing from them, because they don't. The Army Corps or DEP will only send data to us. Same with the cities. Some of the counties will send their correspondence to both.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted some clarity because immediately I was like, "Hey, that sounds like a very strange stakeholder cycle." But thank you, appreciate that, sir.
Yeah, it's done to just ensure we don't have 100,000 clients, right? I have 30 or 40 clients, and I have a full-time person that does permitting. And so while it's in that period of time, and having her give an individual update to each person is that piece that's important, so that the client always knows what's going on.
Understood. And I mean, so you make that mandatory for residential, the same with your commercial as well?
Commercial side is a little bit different, because once you start a commercial job, 95% of them make you attend the weekly status meeting, even if you're not working yet. So generally, you'll come in 3 to 4 weeks beforehand, before you even starting work, and then you'll be a part of that. And then until your job is done and bought off on, you still have to be a part of that scheduling meeting every week.
Yeah,
So you tied up in that. I mean, this pirate ship, we've gotten everything done that we can do until they go finally put the final pieces of sidewalk in, which is 7 months from now. I have to attend that meeting every week for the next 7 months. So I don't need to do the 2 week update now. This Coast Guard job, where it's kind of sat and gotten cold at times, every couple of days I'm reaching out, going, "Hey, we're excited. We want to go do this. We want to keep going on," and letting them know that we're there.
understood. Thank you, sir.
Yep.
The squeaky wheel keeps the job there.
That's how we got the Tucker Cove one. That's how we got that pirate ship. I called him. I was 2 weeks after we submitted the bid, and we didn't hear anything back. We were supposed to hear something back, and then every week I just reached back to see if there was questions. And we were not the cheapest bidder. And it's just we wanted the job. We were hungry. Sometimes that's what it takes, and that's like some of the people I've worked with in the past that were program managers. I'm like, you just have to keep calling them back. You have to let them know you're excited. You can't be a jerk about it, but you just go, "Is there anything you need? Any questions? We're ready to go if you're ready to go."
So if somebody comes works for you, what should they expect? Like, what's the company culture, benefits, that kind of stuff?
I tell you,
Yeah.
you're not going to get micromanaged. I only made it to 25 years in the Navy. instead of 30 because the micromanaging got to be too much in my position, and I just told them I can't do it anymore. I'm going to retire. Um, you will have your clearly defined goals of what you've got to go do or bring to the company. Our core values are part of our hiring process. In fact, that's what our hiring process is 90%. Um, you know, communication, integrity, stewardship of the waterways. We are living and dying by our core values, and that's how we're going to become what we want to go be. And so when you get hired by us, you're signing that you're going to go meet those things. And when we do your evals, that's how we do it. I will tell you right now, the overall culture, we're still developing some of the right communication skills with the different groups. So we have our first opportunity. I will use opportunity. We have 2 crews that are out currently working, and one is primarily Spanish speaking. And so, it's trying to figure out how to get the right safety meeting so that everybody can be together in the same room and have the same understand what's going on and start to build the team and the cohesiveness. And that's one of the challenges we're going through right now, because I don't speak Spanish. I barely speak English. I tried to learn Spanish a couple of times, and I made my English worse by doing that. No, it's just if let's say you were a PM, you would be very clear. Here's the area I want you to go focus in. Here is the numbers that you've got to meet to go do that, and then you'd be pretty much set to go. And then we would help guide you in creating the estimates in the beginning until you were able to stand on your own and guide the next people that came in behind you.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Throw some ones in there if you're interested in learning more about this. Just kind of curious because down the Florida area, sounds like pretty good work. So Chris, I want to thank you for coming on. Do you have any closing thoughts before I let you get going here in the next minute?
No, not really. I mean, it's weird in your transition. I'll tell you that when you're starting to get out and you're like, I'm not sure what I'm going to go do. Don't panic. Take your time. 4 months prior to me getting out, I was scared because I didn't have a job. I was sure that nobody was going to hire me. But it's worked out well, and you know a lot. You know a lot more on how to do the jobs that are out here on this side than you think you do.
That's good stuff. So, hey, Chris Hallameyer of ARC Marine Construction, I want to thank you very much for coming in today, dropping a little knowledge and sharing some information with the folks. I will turn it